What's up, YouTube? I think I may have figured out how to quantize pitch in Faceplant. Let's check it out. So I've mentioned in various tutorials before that Faceplant doesn't actually have the ability to kind of natively quantize the pitch of a signal like something like Hive or Pigments has. But I think due to the kind of modular nature of Faceplant, there is kind of a way around it, and I think I figured that out. So originally my brainwave was, I'm going to kind of talk you through the process of how I came to this conclusion, because it might help you guys to discover things that, you know, might help everyone. But anyway, so my original brainwave was to, I'm just going to put in a oscillator for now so we can hear what's going on. And my original brainwave was to use an LFO and let's say, for example, you know, punch in, if we go here to 12, we have chromatic steps. And we can, for example, skip out notes to make a scale. So let's say go down 2 again, go down 1, 2, 2, 1, 2. That should be a minor scale, if I'm not mistaken. I might be wrong, but this is just a quick kind of explanation of how I kind of came to this conclusion. Then my idea was to kind of modulate through the phase of the LFO to achieve the kind of output, the stepped output that we want. And you could use a macro or another LFO or a random or something to modulate that phase, therefore achieving this kind of like stepped pitch output, if you assign this to the pitch, of course. The problem is that the LFOs can't be static. So you can't actually get it to a point where it's 0 hertz, it's not actually moving, and then allowing you to then modulate through the phase. So I tried various ways of like modulating the speed backwards with another LFO that was on maximum and stuff like that, but it was just a complete dog show. And I figured if I just, you know, bypass the whole LFO theory and use an oscillator, we could kind of achieve the same thing. So for this purpose, we're going to be using a wavetable oscillator, because this, funnily enough, allows us to also draw in stepped modulation. So just to make things simpler, I'm actually just going to remove this LFO over here. We're going to add in a wavetable over here. And let's open up the wavetable editor. And just to kind of like refresh this entire thing, like blank patch, nothing on any of the frames, we're going to click New over there. So here the trick is to cycle this over to 24. And I think grid of 8 is fine. And here, what we're going to want to do is click this tool, the pen tool here. And as far as I know, I tried this a few ways, and I found that the closest, the easiest kind of sweep was to start halfway down and then step it like this. So we'll do 2, 2, and then 1. But because the screen is so small, you'll have to kind of like shift it over a bit like that. So it makes workflow a little bit tough, but it can be done. 2 and then a 1 like this, and then 2, and then we start again on this side here at the top. Let's just put in a 2, 2, 1, 2, 2, oops, 1, 2. I think that's right. I might be wrong, but we'll just double check this in a sec. So then let's hit done over here, and we've created our stepped modulation over here. So if we set this harmonic to 0, we've essentially created a static LFO, because it's going to be, you know, an oscillator that's a low frequency. And furthermore, I mean, we're not going to route this to the output, so it's going to be inaudible anyway. So what we can do here is let's set this to modulate the semitone by 24. And then what we can do is we can use a macro to modulate the phase. So I was wrong. Instead of modulating by 24, we want to modulate by 48, because it's a bipolar signal. We're going 24 semitones up and 24 semitones down. So the entire range is going to be 48. So to get that accurate pitch, we're going to want to set this to modulate this semitones by 48 instead. So the amount of sweep on the phase, I've actually gone a little bit too far. We can actually reduce this to get a more kind of accurate octave sweep of that scale. So let's just check here if we actually have got the scale. So I'm going to hold down a C and sweep this, and we're going to check the notes to see if this is the C minor scale. Cool, that sounds right. So I'm just going to choose another key and see if that's, for example, like the G minor scale. Cool, that's sounding right. So there's various ways we can approach creating this or utilizing this into a patch. But first things first, let's actually just save this as a wavetable so we've got it to recall at any moment. So let's just go save as. I'm just going to say plus 48 to remind myself. And let's put on some reverb here. And what I'm going to do is mix it down, mix it up all the way so the channel is mixed down a little bit, and we can create some processing on the tail of the reverb, a couple of filters and stuff. Then we can apply a random, and then let's set this to something like a 2/16. We're going to want to set this to unipolar, just so it's from 0 going to +1 and not bidirectional, because obviously it's on a macro, which we're only kind of sweeping one way, if that makes sense. So what we can do now is we can use this kind of random amount parameter as the, whether there's any kind of randomization happening or resetting it back to kind of like the root note of the scale. So let's just create a macro here, call this scale, and let's use this macro over here. We can call this one randomization. Then what we can do is let's use a transgate to kind of create a rhythm. So I actually want to move all of these effects over. I removed this one. Let's move them over to the second lane. And then the first lane we can use to create a kind of like rhythm with the transgate. So let's put on a transgate. I'm going to tweak these now. Let me just put in a long note. So now let's create a kind of longer LFO modulating this randomization amount, starting at 0 to create a kind of like root base for the melody. And let's say like 16/4. And we can draw in a pattern like starting at 0 like this. So we can actually go like this. So it goes like 0, so it'll play like the root note and then randomize like this. Awesome, more of a quick one for today, but yeah, you guys get the picture. It's kind of more of a like case study or more of a kind of proof of concept more than anything. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that. Hope you learned something. Let me know what you think in the comments. As always, if you like this video, hit that like button. I'm going to upload this preset to my Patreon for all my $5 supporters. So if you want to know what that's all about, check out the stuff in the description. And if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button. See you guys next time. Cheers.